What's up, guys? I'm going to go through a few minutes and go through some of these translations that we've been doing here in class. Particularly, I want to focus on our basic translation, our slide, and I want to talk about our reflections. So just graded the test a little bit ago. The tests were not showing very promising results, so I think it is very important that we run through this again. So I'm going to spend the next few minutes I'm going to use one figure, but I'm going to do all of these transformations for you. And I hope this helps bring some light to some things maybe you weren't catching before. So here we go. So I have this rhombus. So I have this rhombus, and I want to translate it 3 units. So this is saying, my vector is saying move it 3 units horizontally this way and down 2 units. So that means every point, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So that's going to be my C prime, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. There's my D prime, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. There's my B prime, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And there's my A prime. So, my new figure, my image, if you will, is translate every point 3 units this way, down 2 units. So, that is basically what you got to just remember is what is this saying? Remember, the x value is working on the x coordinates, the y value is working on the y coordinates of each point. So, that's the big thing to remember with that. So, let's go. Oh, goodness. I don't know what that was about. Now, so let's look at these reflections. So when I'm reflecting, I'm actually reflecting, in this case, I'm over the x-axis. So here's what's going to happen. My rule when I'm reflecting over the x-axis is my pre-image point is going to follow this characteristic. Pre-image to image, basically all I'm doing is I'm negating the y value. The x value remains the same. It's literally just a flip over. So here's what that looks like. Where this point right here was 5, 6, 5, negative 6, that's my C prime. This one was 2, 1, that's going to be 2, negative 1. There's my D prime. So I can go ahead and connect those two. A was 0, I'm sorry, D was 0, 3. That's going to be 0, negative 3. That's my B prime. Sorry, had a moment there. And my A prime was 3, negative 2. So that's going to be 3, positive 2. So that's going to be my A prime. So if we go from A prime to B prime, there we go. Sorry, got a little turned around there. That tends to happen. So you got to be real careful about that. I forgot, well, where's all my little lines going? So very common. See a math teacher do it, you know you can do it as well. So if you see the end result, so my pre-image, then my image, I've literally flipped it. It's kind of like if you took this marker and you had let's say a little piece of paper here on top, and you do this. I've not changed the horizontal position, I've just changed the vertical. It's up here, then it flips down to here. So the biggest thing is to remember this rule right here. Remember, I gave y'all an opportunity to make a note card. I even provided a note card where you was able to go home and fill out all of these rules. Now, whether or not you did that, that's on you. But remember, you can use that note card later on some of our tests that we'll have in here on this particular unit. So you want to remember that. Now, let's go, let's remove these. Okay, so let's look at the y-axis. Now, the y-axis is just kind of the inverse of what we did with the x-axis, where we negated the y value on the x-axis. Well, in this case, we're going to negate the x value to make it flip about that y. So here's what the rule for that. So our rule to go about the y-axis in fact, I'm going to move this about a little bit differently. I'm going to move this down here. Let's take these and move them down this way. So it's this will be better. So when I'm reflecting about the y-axis, that's going to be my rule right there. So every one of these points, so C was 5, 6, so it's going to be negative 5, 6. This right here will be my C prime. Hang on, let me read. Right here was 0 and 0, 3. Well, 0 negated is 0, right? So it actually is going to stay put. So it's actually going to become the B prime now. So D was 2, 1. That's going to make it negative 2, 1. So that's going to be my D prime. A was negative 3, negative 2. So negative 3 negated, it actually turned it back up to a positive. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So that's going to be my A prime. So we connect our dots. A to B, B to C, C to D, and D back to A. It is reflected about the y-axis. So the big things you should be taking away from this, I'm gonna before I go any further. Here are the things you should be making sure you write down that note card. Even more than that, make sure you're submitting to memory. That's even more important. So reflecting about the x-axis. Y-axis. I need to erase that. Okay, so those are two things you should be taking away from right there. So, going onward to our reflecting over this y equals x and y equals negative x. So, first off, what we've got to remember is what does that line even look like? So, oh goodness. So, y equals x. Oh, that's silly of me. So to go back that y equals x line, what we're going to do is we're going to take each coordinate of our pre-image and we are going to reverse the x and y. So here's what it's going to look like. So every point's going to get swapped. So where this was 5, 6. That was 5, 6. It's going to be 6, 5. So we're going 6 and 5. There's C prime. D was 2, 1. So that's going to be 1. Oh, I'm sorry. I said that totally wrong. That's going to be 1, 2. So it's going to be D prime. B was 0, 3. That's going to be 3, 0. And A was negative 3, negative 2. So that's going to be negative 2, negative 3. That's going to be my A prime. B prime. So when I connect them, see, B to C, A to B, A prime to B prime, C prime to D prime. It's literally like I took this marker, laid it on here, and I rotated it. So it's reflected about that line y equals x. That is kind of a really small figure. It's kind of tight and hard to see. The big thing that you really should get out of this would be this. Remembering your rules. Keep those rules straight. That's why I let you make your own note card, because I know they are difficult to remember. That's very easy to do. So that's one of the reasons why. Even as I'm doing this video, I have to stop and go, all right, make sure I got this right. So I understand that it can be complex. So now here's the last one, the y equals negative x. So y equals negative x. So if I go through my line tool, let's change that to a negative. Okay, so all of a sudden this thing is looking the opposite of what we had before. All right, so what are your takeaways with this one? XY, I'm going to negate and flip the XY coordinates. So pre-image point, I'm going to turn them around. So now they're y and x, and whatever they were, I'm going to multiply them by negative 1. Both of them. That's really what I'm doing. So to go back to C right here. So C, where it's 5 and 6, I'm going to turn it around, so it's going to be 6, 5. And then I'm going to multiply them by negative 1, so it's negative 6, negative 5. So negative 6, negative 5. There's my C prime. My D is going to be, so that was 2, 1. So I'm going to flip them. So it's going to be 1, 2, but now I got to multiply those by negative. So it's going to be negative 1, negative 2. So negative 1, negative 2. So that's going to be my D prime. Now I got to take my B. My B is 0, 3. So I'm going to turn them. It's going to be 3, 0. But now it's going to be negative 3, 0. So 1, 2, 3, 0. Negative 3, 0 there. So that's going to be your B prime. Now A. A was negative 3, negative 2. So I'm going to take that now. Watch this. Negative 3, negative 2. Swap them. That's negative 2, negative 3. Now I'll take each one of those and multiply them by negative 1. That becomes 2 and 3. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to do this real quick. 1, 2, 3. So here's what it looks like. C, B, C, C, D, A to B, A to D. So it's flipped around. So these figures, and I'll admit, these right here, especially when you're reflecting over these lines, can be very difficult sometimes to see, because you're seeing all these ominous points, and then you're like, oh, I must be screwing this up. Well, no, maybe not. What the biggest thing that you need to know is to make sure to fall back on these properties right here. If you will remember those, and if you will write them down when I give you the opportunity to, and study these guys, you can really do very well with them. So with that, I'm going to let y'all go and study. You might need to look over your homework and look over some of the classwork that we've done. So that would be my advice. And make sure when I give you an opportunity, like making a note card and writing this stuff down, make sure that you treat it with the utmost of importance. It's not something that I just half-heartedly do just for the sake of time, but I do it because I know it's going to be good for you. So you need to take note of that. I'm trying to help you. So you need to take the initiative now to finish after you finish watching this video. Go study and learn the stuff. So if you want some stuff in the textbook to kind of model after, go to chapter 9. I believe it's the first 2 or 3 sections is where actually transformations are in our textbook. So you got your notes, make you a note card, you have this stuff to fall back on and write down, and use your textbook, study, learn the stuff, because you can do well. You are capable.